what is the role of global organization in this global crisis? We know that WHO was in front of this pandemic, and now they want to increase their power for future crisis situation of international concerns, and they are mentioning even climate changes. And now we know that United Nations also has a plan, pact for the future, and inside also they want to run all international emergency situation. It seems to they want global government to run these emergency situations, and they can make emergency situation whenever they want.
Yes, you already said it. And ultimately, what they're planning on is to transform our liberal, open, democratic societies into some kind of a collectivism, where the free individual is no longer an individual even. I mean, they're attacking our identity as we speak, whether it's a cultural identity, national identity, now even sexual identity, right? They're denying all of that in order to ultimately transform our free and liberal and open societies into a collectivism where, all you have left is like this malleable, mindless mass that they can shove around any which way they need to. And of course, this is ultimately, they are trying to establish one world government. And we're seeing that these are just, whether it's the EU institutions, they play a vital role in that attempt to establish a one world government. For the very simple reason. I mean, look at the peoples in Europe. We live on this rather small continent with so many different peoples, cultures, traditions, languages. And the peoples in the European states, they're a proud people, and they would have never agreed to relinquishing a sovereignty to, some kind of a supranational government, or to a one world government for that matter. So they needed to implement EU institutions first by telling the people, look, we've been fighting for so long on this continent and we really shouldn't do this anymore. So, let's establish a European government. Then we're all the same and we'll all fight for the same thing. And we have one currency that binds us together. And there's going to be peace on our continent. And the people were actually, that sounds like a nice idea. Let's do that. So their sovereignty, they relinquished it to the EU institutions. But the next step will be, now the EU institutions are relinquishing sovereignty to, for example, the WHO, which they tried to do with the change of the pandemic treaty. So it was ultimately about nothing else but to give the WHO governing powers in case there was another pandemic. That's what they were trying to do. You have to say, I mean, WHO, right? They are not elected. They are not accountable to anyone. And if they don't, but that's the reason they're doing that, actually. Once again, they realize we have a problem with the democracies because the governments, and I swear to God, the governments in our member states, they actually would have liked to impose much more draconian measures on the people, but they couldn't because they would have run the risk of not getting reelected. So then they tried, okay, we need to have a fix for this. Well, let's give this power to the WHO. And that was actually providing our elected representatives with a plausible deniability. Because now they can say, well, we would not have locked you up in your home. We would not have imposed vax mandates on you. It's the WHO. But the people can't not elect, the members of the WHO are not elected. On the contrary, it's like the rich of the super rich of this planet are buying their way into WHO, like Bill Gates, for instance. And then they dictate to you what you can do, where you can go, and how the mask, that you need vaccines, and all of that. So, it's actually the ultimate goal is to establish one world government, and we're seeing this on all fronts. And the way they're doing it by fear mongering, right? With the COVID, we're all going to die if we don't listen to WHO, and if we don't wear masks, if we don't do this. It was an infringement on fundamental rights, which have become privileges, by the way, if people haven't realized. And now they're doing it with climate change. Once again, we're all going to die unless we come up with trillions and trillions of dollars to prevent this man-made climate change. It's a hoax.